And eventually, he kind of won. For example, back then, the church sold heaven and hell. You know that. You know, a person came to you and said, all right, how many sins have you committed? And said, like, so they calculated and said, like, give me the money. And said, all right, there you go. Your sins have been purged. So what happened was that, like, one of the things that he did, he found a very, very rich guy. You all heard the story. He said, all right, how much is your heaven? And how much is your hell? He said, all right, I bought the hell. So he bought the hell, actually. All right? So, like, from tomorrow morning, nobody goes to hell. Go and do whatever thing you want to do. Anyway, he challenged Catholic Church. And at the time that Shakespeare wrote this, England and Denmark were Protestants. And along with so many different countries, like Scotland, for example. There is a problem, though. The problem is this. In Christianity, in Catholicism, in Catholic Church, the idea of purgatory was totally an okay idea. Actually, the purgatory being the idea of the world between this world and next, being heaven or hell, we don't know. It was a part where souls went there and they kind of paid for their sins, and so after their sins were cleansed, they could go to heaven. But Protestants did not believe in this. Protestants said this is a trick. This is not right. If you were a bad man, you would definitely go to hell. If you're a good person, you would definitely go to heaven. So they did not believe in that. And that's why Hamlet, being a Protestant, it is never mentioned in the play. He starts asking the fact, he's not sure whether or not this ghost is from heaven or some demon from hell. So you see, he does not believe the ghost to be his father's. So that's another problem. That's one of the problems. That I'm coming from purgatory. I have some time on earth to do whatever I can for my sins to purge away. So could you please go and kill your uncle? Like, how on earth is that purging away of sins? So anyway, that's one of the reasons people believe that this is all the hesitation. His scruples. He asked too many questions about whether or not what he's going to do is right. To have scruples, to be scrupulous, it means that to be fair, to be honest, to be right, to be just. So he's not sure whether killing another person is the right thing to do, even if he's the monstrous uncle Polonius. The uncle, not Polonius, the king, Claudius, thank you. There is no reason. So many people believe that Shakespeare did not know what he was doing. And this is true. Voltaire is saying that. T.S. Eliot is saying that. As I told you, they say that Shakespeare actually copied it from, or Hamlet. Now, Shakespeare lovers, along with me, the very first time that I heard that, I was like, oh my God, what are you talking about? But hey, guys, let's face it. This is a possibility. Shakespeare did not know what he was doing. You know, he took from here and there, here and there, here and there. Tonight, I cannot talk about this because it asks for another 2 hours. But there are so many different reasons. There are so many different bugs that this does not work. What's all the fuss with like Ronaldo and Laertes? We don't want to talk about that. But trust me when I'm telling you that there is a problem here. As I told you, T.S. Eliot says that we know this is a master, but we really don't know why. Nobody knows why. Is this a good copy? Yes, definitely. But is this the best? Definitely not. If you remember, I told that Macbeth was like that. But this definitely is the best copy. But this, because of so many different, it's more than 4 hours. They believe that, no one has done it, but they believe that if you want to play Hamlet completely, it takes more than 5 hours. And no one does that, right? I mean, like in the Brana, it took like 4 hours. The movie was 2 DVDs. I'm like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Now, this is it. And Oedipus complex. I really, it gives me a bad feeling to talk about it. But you know the story of Oedipus Rex, right? Right? What's up? Thank God. All right. Anyone here? Oedipus was a king in ancient Greek. Anyway, very, very fast if you want to say that. What he did was they told him that he would kill his father and marry his mother. He said, "Are you kidding me?" Anyway, he did that. He killed his father and married the mother. After that, he, blinded himself, and the rest of the story. Now, fast forward to a couple of hundred years later, Mr. Freud believes that everyone likes to do that. Spooky, isn't it? Like everyone wants to, deep inside, want to kill his father and marry, his own mother. Now, this is a little, that these days it's been rejected, that it works like this. They say, yes, I myself personally have talked to different psychologists. They still believe that, yes, it happens, but during the first early ages, like when I was until 3, I guess, something like that, they say, 2 years old, 3 years old, not when I'm 30-something, not like Hamlet when he's 30-something. A healthy person does not go around mumbling about his mom's sex life. They believe that Hamlet, deep inside, wanted to kill his own father and wanted to marry his mother. Actually, deep inside, Hamlet wanted to be the king. He wanted to be King Claudius. And that's why he believes that if he goes and if he kills the king, it's as if he's killing himself. And that's why perhaps he goes on about to be or not to be. Because he believes that by killing him, he's killing himself. Because it's a reflection of himself. I'm really not sure how this could be explained these days in the 21st century, but this is a very strong and important theory, and it kind of makes sense, especially after all these years. Anyway, if you want to fast forward, we talked about ghosts. In this way we talked about it. But let's talk about Claudius, the king. Now we know that the king killed his own brother while he was sleeping in the garden. Whenever in literature you see a garden, you can pretty much sure that there's an allusion to Adam. Actually, Jesus too, but the story of Jesus is a little different. All right, Gethsemane garden, yeah. To Garden of Eden, exactly. To Garden of Eden. There is a safe bet, that whenever you see a garden, there's Garden of Eden. But in the next slide, we see that this garden is rank. It's overripe. It smells. In Kenneth Branagh's version of Hamlet, it was frozen. Did you see that? There was a pot, nothing inside. The king was sleeping there. He said, it's as if a serpent stung me. A serpent has stung me. Serpent, again, Garden of Eden, the one who tricked Eve for the apple thing. So we have a biblical allusion here, and he actually said that, I have committed a very major sin, the one that even heaven has a serious problem with it. But let's talk about Claudius. He's a bad man, but a good king. Think about it. A bad man, a good king. Or is he? He's a bad man, but a good king. Listen to Gertrude. What happens to Fortinbras and what happens to Laertes? Before he gets married to Gertrude, he tells everyone that I don't want to do this. This is a sin. It's like incest. But he does it as if he's saving the day. He says, okay, I'll do that because I have no way. It's good for the realm. Any Game of Thrones fan here? Good for the realm. So that's it. He said, I do this because it's good for the realm. I get married to Gertrude. He's a bad man, but a good king. How? Laertes wanted to kill him. They invaded the palace and actually wanted to kill him. But he's the king. He talked him out of it. He persuaded him that he is not the enemy, he is not the threat. Someone else is. Before the play starts, they had major crisis with Norway. But what happened was that at the beginning of the play, he writes a letter to Norway and tries to bury hatchet with them. He tries to make peace with them and say, if you want your land, let's come and negotiate on them. He's a good king. Claudius definitely is a good king, but he's a bad man. How is that possible? Machiavellian ruler. Don't forget. Take a look. Niccolo Machiavelli, in his Prince around 1530 something, 32 I think if I'm not mistaken, in his essay Prince, he said that it is kind of like a handbook for a person who wants to be a good ruler. He said, in order for you to be a good ruler, you don't have to be just. You don't have to be just. You have to be these three things. 4. You have to be inventive. You have to be charismatic, willful, and manipulative. Do you want to be a good ruler? You have to be these 4. You don't have to be just. This is what Niccolo Machiavelli believed, actually. No comment on that. But Claudius is definitely a Machiavellian ruler. Definitely. He's a bad man, but he's a great king. Now, the question is this. In order to be a good king, do you necessarily have to be these? Do you remember Macbeth? The same thing happened with Macbeth. The same thing happened with Duncan. He was a good man. He died. Gertrude. We have too many questions about Gertrude. The most important thing is this: did she actually know that Claudius had killed the king? This is the most important one. And did she actually, was she the incestuous beast that the ghost called her? Something crazy happens at the end of it, at the end of the play. As I told you, that she picks up the goblet, the cup of wine, and drinks it up. In different versions, people believe that she did that willingly to prevent Hamlet from death. She had no idea that the sword was poisonous. So perhaps this is eventually she becomes the mother that Hamlet was looking for, a caring, loving mother. Fortinbras. Let's talk about Fortinbras and Laertes together. Let's talk about Polonius. Now, this is the funny thing about Polonius. In The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, T.S. Eliot says something amazing about Polonius. He says, "No, I'm not praised Hamlet, nor was meant to be," if you remember the song. He said, "I'm an attendant lord, a person who just starts a scene or two." He says, "I'm the person who helps the king. I'm the person who starts scenes. I'm a person who gives the idea. At times, although a fool." You see, when we are talking about Polonius, this is Shakespeare. When we are talking about Polonius, Polonius actually talks for the public, for people. He makes people laugh. We know now for sure that when Polonius was talking, people actually laughed. The mediocres in the theater. He's so superficial. But what happens is that he gives and he talks about the most memorable speeches and quotes actually in Hamlet. "Neither borrower nor lender be. To thyself be truthful." The question is this: is Shakespeare trying to mock all these important things through Polonius's mouth? Is Shakespeare trying to tell us that all these things, all these big words are like... Perhaps this is just a question that we have about Polonius. Let's talk about Ophelia and these two, and we wrap this slide. Now, Ophelia is the obedient and passive person. She's controlled by everyone. She's controlled by her father, she's controlled by her brother, she's controlled by her lover, and she's even controlled by her clothes at the time of her death. Now, this is the funny thing. Gertrude says that when she kind of like dropped into water, it was as if her clothes were dragging her deep inside the water, and she did not do anything. If you're obedient and if you're passive, you will perish. You will perish. No question there. She starts giving away flowers. We will talk about it in the next slide. But the most important thing is about these three people. Laertes, Hamlet, and Fortinbras. All three of them have daddy issues. All of them. They have their fathers that died. All three of them. They want to take revenge. All of them. But Laertes and Hamlet, they have something in common. Hesitation. Please listen to this part. This is cool. Hamlet hesitated for too long before he took action. He waited for 4 hours and then he did that. But what Laertes did was quite the opposite of Hamlet. He acted and then he hesitated. He captured the palace, but after that he said, what if the king is right? So he hesitated again. Both of them died at the same time, same way. But what about Fortinbras? Just like Hamlet, he was Fortinbras Jr. He wanted to commit. He wanted to take revenge. But he did not blink. He did not blink for even a second. From the very beginning of the play, we knew that he was coming, and eventually he conquered the throne. So please be careful about that. Perhaps Shakespeare wants to say something like he didn't insinuate this, that if you hesitate too much, bye-bye. But unless you are willing to, and unless you are determined, there is no way out for you. Let's talk about next slide very quickly. We try to wrap it up in 20 minutes. There are different themes to talk about. Of course, we try to talk about madness. Obfuscating insanity is what we have in many stories. Obfuscating madness, insanity, is the one that the person kind of acts out his madness to make a point or hide something behind the tapestry. If you want to do something, if you don't want me if you don't want to raise eyebrows, what happens is this: you try to go insane, you try to act insane, so that you drag the attention from you and put it on something else. But I'm afraid Shakespeare, it's not my idea. Many people believe that he failed here doing this. We have two crazy people in this play. We have Hamlet and we have Ophelia. They're mad. Crazy was not a good word. How did they work out for? How did it work out for them? Hamlet and Ophelia. Which one was real? This is a question that no one has answered yet. But actually, we don't care about Hamlet. It's about today. You see, sometimes we, in this part, we'll talk about in art and culture. Let me say it right now. Shakespeare is trying to ask us. So this is something that Mr. Jung actually talked about a couple of 100 years after. That sometimes we change masks so much that we forget who's the one behind the mask, as Michael said. We forget who is behind the mask. Perhaps Hamlet started a game, but the joke was on him at the end of the play. I mean, like, he started it. He started this joke, but eventually it got into him. In art and culture, the question is, how much of our identity is based on performance? Ask yourself. So we keep on acting. I keep on acting as a teacher, a loving husband, a loving manager, a loving son, a loving father. But how much of it do I actually believe? And sometimes we have to ask ourselves, how much is our life? How much of our life is actually a play? The idea of play within a play is that, you see, in Hamlet, we have another play in it. We have a play within a play. And the theater in Hamlet is a mirror to reality. Normally, it should be a mirror to reality, but in Hamlet, it is a reality. You see, play is something that makes reality. The play, the murder of Gonzago, is what that made reality. It made the other person, the king, to say, hey, guess what? I'm the one to blame. Mortality. Hamlet, the ghost, mankind. You see, as you know, Hamlet is not hesitating about to kill or not to kill, to die or not to die, but is to be or not to be. His concern is about life, is about mortality, is about living. You see, he said, even after life, you can live on. But the problem is that we don't know what lies after death. And he said, hence, conscience makes cowards of us all. He is an existential issue. He has an existential issue. He is an existential hero with a pagan mission. His father tells him to go and kill, but he is a good Christian. He knows that vengeance is for God. Now, this is the religion. Incest, murder, and suicide. We know that. We don't want to say that Shakespeare was a religious person because there's nothing Christian about this play. It's just like there was nothing Scottish about Macbeth. There is nothing Christian about this. You see, it's full of pagan symbols. But still, we have the idea. We have the Anglican Church on purgatory. The idea is that there is no purgatory. So that's why they had a problem. Hamlet had a problem believing and accepting what the ghost said. We have incest, murder, and suicide. All three of them are like crazily rejected by church. Are you kidding me? To commit incest, to have sex with your relatives, to kill someone else, to kill yourself? But we have all of them in this play. And perhaps he wants to condemn all these three. He wants to say that if you do these things, bye-bye, that's it, there is no end for you. Or does he really want to say that? So this is the question that we have to ask ourselves. Sex. On Weeded Garden, this is what, in the first soliloquy, Hamlet, he's so angry, just whimpering, He says, women, he seriously has problem with women. That's why many people believe that Hamlet is homosexual. We don't want to talk about his, sexuality, Hamlet's. We don't want to say that, why is he so close to Horatio all the time? I really don't want to talk about it tonight. That's the whole different idea. But he definitely has problem with sex. He has an issue, a big issue. So he has problem with his mother having sex with his father, uncle, and therefore he has the same thing with Ophelia. Now the fact that whether or not Hamlet and Ophelia actually had the intercourse is hidden to anyone. But we try to talk about it tonight, especially in the next one, in the last slide. So perhaps he says that women are breeders of sinners. So breeders of sinners. So perhaps what he wants to say is that women and world, they're the same. So perhaps it's not the women he has problem with, it's the whole world, it's the whole life that he has problem with. It's Shakespeare. How can you go fight with women? Come on. So ladies, That's not what he wants to say. Perhaps he wants to say the productive part of the world. We say it's inevitable. We are in this life, we are in this world, it's inevitable. We are sinners and we are the product of this land, of this earth, of this life. Let's talk about gender. Frailty, thy name is woman. You see, he believes that all the women are frail, are fragile, all the men are strong. Joke. For a person who has studied Macbeth and Romeo and Juliet, Othello, Hamlet, and the other ones, they know that in Shakespeare plays, women are the strong ones. Right here, Ophelia does not talk. He acts. Just like Juliet. Do you remember? It was last month, I think we talked about it. He did not talk. He acted. She acted. Ophelia acted. Lady Macbeth acted. This is the problem that he definitely has with sex, because he tries to say that, you know, the women are breeders, and we still are not sure about sexuality of Hamlet. Let's not talk about that. Let's put an end to it. For lies and deceit, and the other one. The last slide. There's another slide. We talk about it. Yorick's skull and graveyard. We talked enough of the ghost. We have the symbols, imagery, and allegory. If you remember, I told you that the Yorick's skull and the graveyard is the part that Hamlet realizes that death is inevitable. It is inevitable that you will die eventually. But the question is this: if you die eventually, perhaps, you know, it was right after the graveyard incident that Hamlet started aging quickly. From a boy, he became a man. He said, I knew this person. He used to have eye, tongue. He used to... Someone, we have enough time, right? 5 minutes? Are you kidding me? 9? I want 10 minutes. Keep them outside. So the graveyard. Look the death in the eye. Hamlet was not that Hamlet anymore. He was not that Hamlet anymore. He said, if I want to die eventually, who cares who kills me or who I kill? Let's not talk about these. The flowers are very important here. I was looking for this part. Ophelia gives away flowers when she goes crazy. Before that, she starts singing a song, as I told you, about a girl, a person who was fooled into bed by the promise of marriage. And she starts giving flowers, different flowers: fennel, columbine, daisy, violet, rue, and wormwood. Now we know that felon talks about strength and praiseworthiness. She gives it away. She gives away the strength. Now there's a reason that she gives a fennel. Said, here's a fennel for you. Here's a columbine daisy for you. Columbine is folly. He says, here's a columbine for my father. Now this is very nice. And he says a daisy. He gives away daisies. He gives violet. He said, here's violet to Hamlet. He gives all these flowers away. Violet goes for faithfulness and modesty. And the last one she gives away is rue and wormwood. Now, rue and wormwood used for centuries. It used to make abortion potions. So, no comment on that. In Kenneth Branagh's version, he actually believes that he actually shows that Hamlet and Ophelia did have sex. And there's another thing, there's a problem that many people believe that it was the paternal force, the pressure on Ophelia, and Renaissance idea of a deflowered woman was damaged good. And that's why, because of that, and the pressure of father, and the pressure of, actually, this symbol that she gives away flowers, she's been deflowered by Hamlet. And the pressure was so much that she eventually goes mad, and she kind of kills herself. In analysis part, we're talking about setting, Elsinore, Denmark, Protestant Reformation. It's a Protestant Reformation capital of world. I told you that this is where Martin Luther started the whole thing. Wittenberg, Germany. And the tone of this, I have to hasten it, I'm sorry. This is the last part. We have to give the room to the next, for the next show. The tone is dark, uncertain, anxious, introspective, and tortured. Again, like all the other works of William Shakespeare, when noble people are talking, they talk in iambic pentameter. If you remember, we talked about it in Romeo and Juliet, if I'm not mistaken. Was it Romeo and Juliet we talked about it? You see, we said that there's iambic pentameter. Now, when noble people are talking, there is a ba-bum, 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 5. I am is like ba-bum is I am. Now, when it is repeated 5 times, we call it iambic pentameter. We talked about 2 households both alike in dignity, in fair Verona, where we lay our scene. Do you remember we talked about this? Anyway, this is Shakespeare thing, iambic pentameter. But when people who are not noble talking, like the gravedigger, there is no ba-bum, ba-bum. There is no iambic pentameter. But sometimes we have a feeling like the thing that they say is much richer in the meaning and in tone than the ones who are that are set in iambic pentameter tone. We will talk about this later, I hope. The writing style, there's a method madness on iambic pentameter. We talked about this. Thank you so much for your patience. I really did not know that we have this. I thought we had more time. The fact that you are here shows that you care about language, English language. You talk about you care about English literature, and you are supporter of this. I'm not here to preach all these things to you. Seriously, that's not the point of these nights. It's just a gathering. We hopefully, like Elham and I were talking about it. We said that we are looking forward these nights to have a group of people to find our team to make these nights more productive, more fruitful. Next week, and let me tell you something. The world knows what we're doing here. This is funny. But in California, they know what we're doing, and they're actually trying to publish this, run a story actually on different magazines and all. We had, if I'm not mistaken, we had emails from. We had from Ireland, we had emails from Ireland. We have friends from DC who are supporting us. So people know what we're doing here. I really humbly thank you for your support. And next week, please tell your friends. You see, I'm here for the sake of literature. We are all here. Irfan, Ashkan Khatibi, Salman Babay, all the group is here to do this thing that has never done before, like this in Iran. So thank you for all your support. It means a lot to me. Sorry for last session. It was canceled. I really didn't know. Someone told me on Instagram that it was canceled. Even I personally didn't know that. Next week we are going to finish our Shakespeare nights by King Lear. So King Lear would be the last night on Shakespeare. And starting next month, we will talk about the works of Edgar Allan Poe. We look at Edgar Allan Poe's stories, short stories, and we look at Allan Poe's poetry, and after that, around Shahriar, hopefully, we'll work on T.S. Eliot again. We're going to have a recap on T.S. Eliot. But please tell your friend, tell your partners. Next week, hopefully, we're not in Ramadan, right? Next week is over. So hopefully we can have more friends here. We can have, the more we are, the more messengers we have in this. In our society, and we can expand our society to know that, and to say that the message that we're trying to give away is this: that literature still works, no matter the location, no matter our time, no matter our religion, no matter our nationality. We are one united family, and we started these nights exactly in May 2016. It was only by chance. It was exactly 400. Shakespeare died in May 1616. Now, the fact that we're doing it in May 2016 actually means something. This is not only a coincidence, really. So thank you again. I'm Navid Maleki. I thank Charsou, Cineplex. Thank you for your patience, and hopefully I'll see you next week for King Lear. Thank you so much.